Hey everybody, I'm Don Fishback. I'm here with my buddy and trading partner Brian Strain. And the reason I'm here today is because Brian, you've been getting some questions we've been talking about liquidity and so on. So tell us what you're talking about.
So we've been talking about liquidity a lot lately in the office and in class.
In the office, that's right. It's really in
or
the
in
office.
the office, yeah.
Right.
And we use option volume and open interest to measure liquidity.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we look at in terms of the scans and odds online. We look for situations where there's enough open interest in the options, enough volume in the options, bid-ask spreads are narrow. That's all a measure of liquidity, right?
Yes. And so I think that people get volume, but I don't think that they really understand what open interest is.
So that's the question?
That's the question. Can you explain what open interest is?
Sure. All right, well, open interest is the number of open contracts in an option contract. So let's say you have the February 21st 50 call with an open interest of 500. Well, what does that mean? That means that there are 500 contracts that are open. So how is open interest created? What does that mean? What you do, let's say there's zero open interest, there are no contracts. So the option, and you can look in any option chain, including ours and odds online, you can look and there will be a column in the option chain that says open interest and it's at zero. Well, then one option contract trades. So there's no open interest right now. One option contract trades. And let's say it's you and you want to buy it. So you buy one contract. Now that means somebody has to sell it. So somebody's selling. So you buy, they sell, that leads to one contract open interest. And then somebody else comes along and they want to buy. And so now you have two buyers and there needs to be a seller. For every buyer, there has to be a seller. So somebody else comes along and sells it. So now you have two contracts of open interest. So it's the same thing as volume at that point right now, right? And then you have a third person comes along and they want to buy it. Well, then the other two people don't want to sell yet, so somebody else has to come along and sell it. So when they sell it, now you have three contracts of open interest. So volume and open interest are the same at that point. Well, here's where things change. You have a fourth person come along and they want to buy it. So the fourth person comes along and wants to buy it, but now one of the three that bought earlier wants to sell. So what happens is that fourth person buys, one of these people sell it, so now that person sells, and so now you have three open interest but four of volume. Does that follow? Yeah. Everybody follow that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the number of contracts that are open. Now, there are some people that use open interest as a method of analysis. We talk about option pain is one thing where you look at open interest to tell you where a stock might end up at expiration, or some people might look, and believe me, I've been doing this since 1984. It's hard to believe it's been that long. So it'll be 35 years in November of this. No, it'll be 36 years in November of this year. Oh my gosh! So time flies. People have been doing research on open interest forever, and they've been trying to decide whether or not open interest is a gauge of anything predictive. And there's some really bright people in this business. I tend to think that I'm not that dumb in this business. I can be pretty good. And I haven't found anything, but it's not just Don. There are every hedge fund, every market making firm, every academic. I mean, there are hundreds of research papers produced on options every year. And that's just what's in the public domain. Nobody has found open interest to be predictive of anything. And why do you think that is, Brian?
I have no idea, because I would think, man, it's data. It might mean something.
Well, here's the reason why I think it's been very difficult. you don't know who's doing the buying and selling. You know that people are buying and you know that someone's selling, but you don't know who it is. You don't know if it's an informed person that's decided to buy or if it is an uninformed person. In the academic literature, we call those noise traders. So you don't know if it's a noise trader or an informed trader. And so it's really hard to get a gauge. You also don't know, because open interest, you know somebody's buying and selling, but you don't know if the open interest goes up. I gave you examples of where somebody off the 3 people off the floor, somebody wanted to buy, another person wanted to buy, another person wanted to buy, and another person wanted to buy, and that was creating open interest. It could just as easily have been one person wanted to sell from off the floor, and a market maker said, okay, I'll take the other side. So in that case, it's selling, 4 sells, and you had the 3, you have a sell, and then person buys, a sell, a person buys, a sell, a person buys, another sell, and then that's the offset of the other one of these other person that sold earlier.
So it doesn't tell us about motivation.
It doesn't tell us anything about motivation, and it doesn't tell us anything about, well, we know they're selling, but we don't know why they're selling. Are they selling because they think it's going down? Are they selling it to capture premium? Are they, we don't know why they're selling. So you're right, it doesn't say anything about motivation, and it doesn't tell us anything about whether they're smart money or dumb money.
Yeah.
So that's why open interest really doesn't tell us that much. We tend to look at price, because price, if the price moves, and you can measure price in implied volatility, price moves because of the person that's doing the buying if it's going up, you know they're motivated and they want it. So that's why price has been a better predictor than the open interest. But I hope that gives you some idea of what open interest is. It's the number of open contracts, and the reason that's important from liquidity is if you have, let's say you have 500 contracts of open interest, that means that there is participation at that strike price. So when you combine that with the number of contracts traded, tells you that people are willing to trade it. There's volume there. If there's volume and open interest, now it's not just that at one time people wanted to trade it, but they still want to trade it. And if the bid-ask spread is narrow, it means that there's a lot of participation and the market makers are very active, and it's two-way traffic in the option strike. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does.
Folks, if you like this video, we have many more. Just subscribe to our channel right down below, and thanks for watching.